Welcome to the channel, friends. So today's video is going to be another Corvette video, and I plan on installing a brand new carbon fiber intake. And no, it is not the Kong. The Kong is actually being removed. I have issues with it rubbing the hood. I tried the best I could. You know, I've cut back the coupler to the point where there's no coupler left and it's not working anymore, and it still rubs the hood after I drive the car. I got it to not rub by gently closing the hood, and then it's okay. But once I take it on the drive, sure enough, it did rub. So the way I did that whole process was that I applied some painter's tape to the intake and also the hood. And then I applied grease on the intake side, and then I went for a ride. And that's how I would test fit the hood as I was cutting back the coupler and trying out different fitments and positions on the on that carbon piece. It's very finicky, but this one right here that I have in my possession does not work. It's way too thick in the up and down section, so top to bottom, it has way too much bulge, and no matter how much I tuck it in or try to flatten it out, it still rubs. Okay, so maybe another one out there may fit better, but the one I have just completely does not work for me. So I'm going to be removing this one guy here and installing the LMT, so the Late Model Throttle carbon fiber intake. So we're going to take a look at that right now, and I'll show you what comes in the package and what it looks like and kind of my initial impression on the product. So we're going to say goodbye to the Kong. It's a great, beautiful intake, offers great airflow, but the fitment for me just does not work. So that's going to be removed. I do have on this car a 112 throttle body, so it's a K-Tech Nick Williams 112 throttle body. So that's important to know. You know, you want to make sure that you have the proper coupler for what you're doing. So I did go ahead and talk to Jeff Smith, and I asked him for the proper coupler that would go to a 112, and he supplied that to me as well. They actually supplied two of them, which is really nice. Two different lengths. So let's go ahead now in the workshop, and I'll show you what the LMT looks like. But this guy here, sayonara. Alright, so here we have the LMT carbon intake. As you can see, it is a beautiful piece. I was extremely impressed when I took this out of the box. Everything was very well packaged, and once I unwrapped everything, I just saw the beauty in this carbon. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Front to back, top to bottom, it is an absolutely gorgeous piece. It has aluminum clean side port with a grommet for seal. Really nice. And it has a proper MAF interface. Look at that. It is a proper dimensioned and has a shoulder to receive the OEM gasket. Now the Kong does not have that. I actually had to add my own MAF interface, which replicated this exact setup here. So that's something that was a pet peeve of mine with the Kong. It did not have a proper seal for the MAF. And yes, my intake had a gap. I don't care what you guys say about that. It did not receive the OEM MAF sensor properly. And that's why I went ahead on mine and did that on my Kong. Which drivability seems fine. I mean, I just am running on the base tune right now. But there was a huge gap on mine with the Kong. But this one right here, it's good to go. They give you a proper MAF interface. And just super high quality if you take a look at this thing. The inside is very smooth. It's not super rough. A lot smoother than the Kong. The Kong is very coarse on the inside. So take a look in there. So really beautiful piece, if I haven't said that already like 5 times. It comes with this really nice Blue Attack air filter. This is a dry air filter. I believe it's the nanotechnology filter medium. So there's a groove all the way around where this here is going to fit inside the filter, and then you go ahead and clamp it with a supplied clamp. So you have one really big one, which obviously goes around here, and then 2 smaller ones And then there's some instructions for the attack blue filter. Also that comes with the package is these 2 silicone high quality couplers. These are HPS, these are not cheap. So high quality silicone coupler, 2 different lengths. And right here I have the 4.5 by 5, and then the same thing here, 4.5 by 5 by 4 inch. It's just 2 different heights and lengths. So this is what Jeff Smith supplied me. Great guy to deal with. I reached out to him and he sent me out one 3-day UPS, and I got it by Friday, which is great because I'm putting it on the car, and this week I'm gonna be on a dyno and I'm gonna test it out. So this is pretty much what it comes like. It does come wrapped really well. So this comes in its own box, and then this will become separately wrapped, and then everything else is kind of in the box with there, and it's all really well done. So really happy on its first presentation, kind of the way it comes out of the box. Excellent product so far. I'm going to give this thing a try now. I'm going to install it in the car and kind of show you what that looks like and what my thoughts are. So let's get to that, and let's go from there. All right, so now let's take a look at the intakes partially assembled on the workbench. And I just want to go through it really quick and show you guys some of the features on both. So as you can see, the Kong has a slightly larger air filter element, not by much, maybe about 3/4 of an inch taller, and it's about the same width. But the Kong does have the inside cone, as you can see, so it has more surface area when it comes to filtering media. But the LMT has its own strong suits. It has a lot more clean air volume, so the carbon duct piece is almost twice the size of the Kong. So we're looking at them right now from the back side, the side that you normally don't see. So this is the opening on the Kong. It's a 5-inch intake. This is the LMT, so it's a little more oval. It's compressed top to bottom, that way it has better fitment. So it also retains a 5-inch diameter, so it's actually a little bit wider than 5 inches here, and then a little bit smaller than 5 inches here, so it averages out to 5 inches. Same thing with the Kong, it's a 5-inch intake. So you still have a true 5-inch, and it's a true carbon fiber intake. There's no other besides the K&N, but that's a much smaller outlet on the duct. So these are the only 2 5-inch that I'm aware of. The Synergy's a 4.5, but that's an aluminum tube. I'm gonna go with the carbon because I just like the look of carbon, and I think it's just a better fit for me. Also, what I did here, as you can see, I put some fabric tape across the backside so it doesn't rub on my heat shield, as well as some tape here, some gaffer's tape to hold this tail of the clamp in place. That way it doesn't rub up against the heat shield. I did have to offset the clamp like you see it here. That way I can gain clearance and not have the clamp right at 6 o'clock here. We'll see if I need this in this location. If I don't, I'm going to switch it to here. Just for the first fitment on the car, I'm going to go ahead and move that out of the way, because otherwise, if I have to sit this thing up against the heat shield, it's going to be in the way and it's going to ride up because of that height. So I moved that to the side so it's not in the way. I added some tape. I added my MAF. The Kong, this is the MAF that I added, the MAF interface. This is was not there to begin with. It was just a bare carbon with a really crude opening, a really crude oversized rectangular slot that really had a big gap and was not good. So this one here, some lucky person, if I end up selling this, is going to get a highly modified intake with the brand new version 2 filter. All right, so let's swing this around and take a look at the front. So as you can see, the LMT has a lot more air volume, clean air volume that's filtered versus the Kong. So that could be a great benefit when you have a lot more plenum volume or intake volume in the tract. So high hopes for this intake right here. this guy, I'm going to hold on to it for now and see what happens. But most likely it's going to be for sale soon. But really good looking intake. All stainless steel clamps that came with this. And that's pretty much it. Now it's time to put it on the car and button everything back up and then show you what it looks like. Alright, so here is the LMT intake installed, and it is absolutely gorgeous. The fitment is excellent and it does not rub. I went ahead and tested the hood. First I closed it gracefully on either side and just pushed it shut. That did not leave any grease. I went ahead and already laid down some tape and did that grease trick that I do. And it did not lay down any grease on the hood. Then I went ahead and did the same thing, but I let the hood actually drop down from about 18 inches. And that did not leave any grease on the hood either. So we're good to go. The Kong would leave grease and transfer grease when I would slam the hood down and after driving. So the intake does move around, believe it or not, even though I have the Hinson urethane engine mounts and transmission mounts, diff mounts, whatever you want to call them. The engine still does move a little bit and the intake will move around on you. So I do have XPEL on here right now, so I'm going to leave it on there. And I don't think I'm going to need it, honestly, because it does not transfer any grease to the hood after my test. So I'm really happy that I have this gorgeous intake here, and it all works out just fine. And the install was pretty easy. If I did not have this kind of complicated setup here, it probably would drop in a lot easier. But I'm really happy with the way it came out. And I can't wait to try out the new air filter with the lid test coming up. So I have the Kong Dual Pass, the DSX V2, and then also the stock lid with CNRs. I will also run the CNR bricks in the DSX, obviously. So we'll test those out and see how they perform up against the Kong Dual Pass. But we're going to start off with the Kong just now this week on the dyno test. So really happy to get this intake installed and ready for the dyno testing that I'm about to do. I'm just so happy that I have an intake that does not rub the hood, and my search is done for the intake for this car, and pretty much the build is pretty much complete. I've been driving it, testing it out, checking out any kind of bugs it has, and everything has been working out just fine with this car. It's been driving like a dream, even on the base tune. So that's going to be it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions or comments, please place them right down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please go ahead and do so. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.